The rings are failing, fear is rising, and the greatest war in the galaxy has only just begun. The stage is set for an epic new chapter in the saga of the Green Lantern Corps. As the story begins, we see a new galactic empire rising to power, conquering worlds and crushing civilizations under its iron fist. This ruthless regime is armed with advanced technology and a fanatical devotion to its own superiority. Meanwhile, many alien species who've long felt the heavy hand of the tyrannical Corps now find themselves siding with this brutal empire, viewing it as a means to throw off the shackles of domination they've endured for so long. On countless fronts throughout the cosmos, fierce battles rage between the Green Lanterns and the forces of this oppressive empire. But something is terribly wrong. Green Lantern rings, those iconic emblems of willpower and justice, are inexplicably failing across the galaxy. And lanterns who should be winning their fights are dying in ways that defy explanation. With each fallen hero, fear takes root in the hearts of those left behind. Now, in the midst of this chaos, the legendary Green Lantern Hal Jordan embarks on a perilous mission to uncover the sinister truth behind these devastating defeats. His journey leads him to the shocking realization that there is a traitor lurking within the very heart of the Corps, silently working to sabotage their efforts and bring them to ruin. This revelation shatters the trust that has long bound the Lanterns together, and suspicion and paranoia begin to spread like a deadly plague through their ranks. With the Corps on the brink of disintegration, Hal must race against time to expose the traitor, restore order, and prevent the galaxy from plunging into eternal darkness. But he is not the only one racing against time. For as all this is happening, an ancient and primordial fear entity stirs from its long prison, biding its time until the perfect moment to strike. This terrifying being is immensely powerful, and its sole purpose is to consume the light of will and plunge the universe into despair. With the Green Lantern Corps weakened and divided, the entity sees its chance and begins to make its move, preying on the fears and doubts of the Lanterns and amplifying them to unimaginable levels. As the entity's influence grows, entire planets are consumed by terror and entire armies are paralyzed by fear. But even in the darkest hour, hope still flickers. For some Lanterns refuse to give in to despair. They rally their fellow heroes, calling on them to rise up and defend the innocent, protect the weak, and stand against the encroaching darkness. Now, despite their best efforts, the Lanterns are divided. Some demand immediate and aggressive action against the Empire, believing that any compromise is a betrayal of everything the Corps stands for. But others argue that the central power battery must be protected at all costs, for without it, the Green Lantern Corps would cease to exist. This internal conflict threatens to tear the Corps apart just as the entity's forces close in, making it clear that if the Lanterns cannot unite, the galaxy will surely fall into darkness. But as the fate of the universe hangs in the balance, Hal Jordan must confront his own inner demons and push himself beyond his limits. He faces his greatest fear, the loss of his friends and the destruction of everything he holds dear. In doing so, he discovers the true strength of willpower and the importance of unity, courage, and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. In the end, the Green Lanterns are pushed to the brink, forced to confront their deepest fears and make ultimate sacrifices to protect the universe. As the story reaches its climax, the entity of fear strikes at the heart of the Green Lantern Corps, launching a devastating assault on the central power battery. With the source of the Lantern's power at risk of being destroyed, Hal Jordan and his fellow heroes prepare for one final stand against the forces of darkness. But even as they face annihilation, the Lanterns are still divided, unable to set aside their differences and unite against their common enemy. As the battle rages, Hal must confront his closest allies, some of whom have been corrupted by fear and turned against the Corps. He is forced to make agonizing choices, balancing his duty to protect the universe with his love for his friends and comrades. But as the darkness closes in, Hal makes a shocking discovery about the nature of willpower and the true meaning of heroism. In a final act of selflessness, he sacrifices everything to save his friends and preserve the legacy of the Green Lantern Corps. In the aftermath of the battle, the surviving Lanterns are left to pick up the pieces and rebuild their shattered organization. They are forced to confront the mistakes that led to their greatest defeat and find new ways to harness the power of will in an ever-changing universe. But as the Green Lanterns turn their sights to the future, they carry with them the lessons learned from their past and the sacrifices made by those who came before them. They know that the true strength of willpower lies not in the rings or the power battery, but in the courage, determination, and unwavering spirit of those who wield it. As the story draws to a close, we are reminded of the enduring power of hope and the importance of unity, courage, and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. And speaking of sacrifice that like button for more amazing comic book content. Now let's continue with the story. As the entity of fear closes in on the central power battery, consuming the light of will and plunging the galaxy into darkness, a small band of Green Lanterns makes a desperate stand. Led by Hal Jordan, they fight to the last, knowing that their sacrifice may give the rest of the Corps a chance to regroup and strike back. But as the battle rages, the Lanterns are beset by their greatest fears, doubt, and despair. Some falter, consumed by their own darkness, while others cling to the light, refusing to give in. Amidst the chaos, Hal Jordan confronts his own mortality, facing the possibility that he may never see his friends and loved ones again. But he presses on, driven by his unwavering determination to protect the universe and uphold the ideals of the Green Lantern Corps. In a final act of desperation, Hal makes a shocking discovery about the nature of willpower and the true meaning of heroism. He realizes that the strength of the Green Lantern Corps does not lie in their individual power or their advanced technology, but in their unity, courage, and willingness to sacrifice for a greater good. With this newfound understanding, Hal leads the charge against the entity of fear, uniting the fractured Green Lantern Corps and inspiring them to fight for the light of will once more. Together, they confront the entity, pushing it to its limits and forcing it to retreat. Though wounded and weakened, the Green Lanterns have won a hard-fought victory, but the battle is far from over. The entity of fear may be driven back, but it is not destroyed. And it will take all of the Green Lantern's strength and cunning to defeat it once and for all. But as the Green Lanterns lick their wounds and prepare for the next assault, they carry with them the knowledge that they are not alone. They have allies among the stars, united with them in their common purpose and ready to help them take on the darkness. For the Green Lanterns are not just a group of superheroes, they are a symbol of hope, courage, and justice. And their fight against the entity of fear is a battle for the very soul of the universe. Now, after their hard-won victory against the entity of fear, the Green Lanterns find themselves at a crossroads. They must decide how to move forward, knowing that the threat of darkness still looms over the universe. Some Lanterns call for vigilance, demanding that the Green Lantern Corps remain on the defensive, striking back at the forces of fear whenever they rise. They believe that the best way to defeat the enemy is to be prepared, to anticipate their next move and strike first. Others, however, call for a more proactive approach. They argue that the Green Lanterns must take the fight to the entity of fear, seeking out its sources of power and destroying them before it can use them against the Corps. This debate rages within the ranks of the Green Lantern Corps, dividing the Lanterns and making it difficult for them to present a united front against their common enemy. But as the Green Lanterns struggle to find a way forward, they receive an unexpected message of help from an unlikely source. An ancient and powerful ally from a distant realm reaches out to the Green Lanterns, offering their aid in the fight against the entity of fear. But as the Green Lanterns accept this help, they must be wary, for not all who offer aid are truly benevolent. For as the Green Lanterns prepare for their next confrontation with the entity of fear, they must also be on guard against those who would exploit their divisions for their own gain. Now, as the fate of the universe hangs in the balance, the Green Lanterns must learn to overcome their internal conflicts and unite against their common enemy. They must also be wary of those who would seek to exploit their divisions and use them for their own nefarious purposes. Only by working together and remaining vigilant can the Green Lanterns hope to defeat the entity of fear and protect the universe from the darkness that threatens to consume it.